The sun is setting behind the mountains very soon now. And this beautiful space tonight, we have the chance to think about a quiet but dramatic act of Jesus. It was an act of love. In the middle of the meal with his disciples, Jesus removed his outer coat. He wraps a towel around his waist. He gathers a basin of water and one by one washes and dries the feet of those who said they followed him. Now, archaeologists have discovered clay objects from that time, and they show what a servant or a slave would have looked like with a towel wrapped around the waist. All this would have shocked the disciples, adding to what was already an anxious time for them. Lots was going on under the surface. They were concerned about how they were going to keep going if Jesus died. Trouble was brewing. Many disciples had turned away and were no longer following Jesus because his teaching was too hard. The disciple Peter would soon deny knowing him. Judas would turn Jesus into the authorities, identifying him with a kiss of affection. Judas and Peter, they represented failure and betrayal. Well, what do we take away from this story of foot washing? How do we make sense of this tender care, even in the midst of betrayal? Well, let's start with what this service is called, Maundy Thursday. The word Maundy is derived from the Latin word madutum, which means commandment. Now, maybe we bristle a little bit at the idea of being commanded, but this commandment refers to something different. It's the commandment to love one another. Well, what does foot washing have to do with this? Well, back in biblical and Greco-Roman times, there was a hospitality norm that dictated that hosts would provide water for washing guests' feet, and the washing was either done by a slave or by the guest themselves. And it was also connected to purification. So priests could not approach the altar unwashed. But in this story, Jesus is washing his disciples' feet, and this is not typical on a few levels. There just isn't an example in antiquity of somebody in authority being willing to do this. And it also happens in the middle of the meal, not at the beginning. So this is a disruption of the norm. This story might remind you of another disruption. One time, Jesus was invited to a dinner with a group of powerful people. And while they were eating, a woman who was described as a sinner, likely meaning she had a bad reputation for any number of reasons, she comes in and she's carrying a jar of pricey perfume. She stands behind Jesus. She's weeping. Her tears fall to his feet, and she wipes them with her hair, kisses his feet, and pours perfume on them. Here we have it again. A counter-cultural act of love. The story of Jesus doing foot washing only appears in the Gospel of John. Of the four Gospels, this one really focuses on loving other disciples of Jesus. The Gospel of John is all about love of each other as a community of followers. In this gospel, Jesus gives us a new commandment. Everyone will know who his followers are by the love they have for each other. This isn't always easy, and there's nothing simplistic about it. This love isn't acquiescence or denial, but it's an act of kinship for our common humanity. Now, in other Gospels, we find other commandments. Love your neighbor, love God, love yourself. But here is the lesson of the Gospel writer we know as John. Everyone will know who is following Jesus by the love they have for each other. Jesus says immediately after washing his disciples' feet the following words, "For I have set you an example, that you also should do as I have done to you. Very truly I tell you, slaves are not greater than their master, nor are messengers greater than the one who sent them." Now this seems to tell us the kind of humility that Jesus asks. And it also tells us what humility can look like in our leaders. And there's no trace of aggression or domination. When we think about the disciples and Jesus washing their feet, at least a few of them don't seem like they deserve it. It was an act of love. That is countercultural. And this is the love that Jesus has for you. It's a love for the fearful. It's a love for the doubter. A love for the wounded. A love for anyone who is feeling like an outcast or on the margins. It is tangible and concrete. The hand of the one who holds all things holds a towel and washes feet. Here's the message of Jesus. I love you. I want you to love each other. Well, tonight we get to practice. You will be able to wash someone else's feet. If this person is new to you, that's great. And then you'll have your turn. It's love, and I think we all need it.